It might be valuable to look at this list with the salaries from high to low. We want to rank them that way, or in the reverse order possibly. But at the same time, we might also want to carry with us, along with the data at any time, that is, a ranking, and it will change based on the adjustment of some of the salaries or the elimination of some of the records here. We'd like to have at our fingertips at all times a ranking of the salaries here and have it in a separate column. I've set aside 2 columns here, and we'll show you how this might work in column C. If you want this to be a dynamic list and always know the ranking, we do need a function here, and sure enough, it's called rank. It's pretty simple and straightforward. We're trying to compare this value here with all the other entries in column B. If column B has nothing else in it, simply comma, use the entire column reference. That's it for the first one. That's the 74th highest salary. This is top down, the number 1 salary. The highest salary will have the value of 1. So we'll copy this down the column by double-clicking the fill handle. And here's the first salary. And right above this, notice something, and it's coincidence that these happen to be adjacent, but it's not coincidence, perhaps that they're the same, because that's going to happen from time to time. And the concern sometimes is, well, what does ranking do? Well, these 2 entries share the second ranking. They're the second highest. And rank ignores, in this case, a third rank, and the next entry that you would find in the list numerically is not level 3 or third highest, but the 4th. And of course, the way to explain this is the 4th highest entry. That's true. This is the 4th highest entry because up here we've got the first highest, and these share second and third, but we see the number 2 there. If you really needed to have this displayed in such a way that you've got 1, 2 2s, and then you want that number 4 really to be 3, then you'll have to explore a bit using array formulas, which are much, much more complicated than what we're using here. So rank does the job, and I think most people would be happy with the way it does it. Now, based on certain kinds of data, not necessarily salary data, but sometimes it makes more sense, or your need is based on saying, well, for example, I want the lowest salary to be 1 and then the highest salary to be 99. Sometimes you want a reverse order here. And there is no X rank or D rank or some other way to say this. We simply have to put together some functions here. And what we need to know is the total count of salaries. Or expressed in a different way, we begin with the idea we want to know how many entries in column B have values. In other words, we do not want to count B1. The function we're talking about here is count. And its purpose simply is to tell us how many cells in this particular range, namely column B, have values. There are 99 of them. So there are actually 100 rows of data here. Row 1 has the labels, and all the other rows have values. So there are 99 entries here. And what we want to do with that value is subtract from it the ranking. Now, we could possibly use the data in column C, but let's do this as if we wanted this completely separate in its own column. We want to repeat that same calculation for rank. How does this salary, comma, compare with all the others in column B? And because we don't want a 0 in one of our answers, and we would get that here, we need to add 1. So this first person's ranking now is 26. And as we copy this down the column by double-clicking the fill handle, we see the entries this way. And so the entry here that is first is now 99th. And somewhere in this list, we'll see an entry that's first in our new way of calculation. Here it is. And previously, this had been 99. So that's how to do a reverse order here. Now, there are other times, too, when maybe these rankings are more interesting when you're dealing with a smaller group of data. Again, in a larger context, if this is near other information, we might want to do a ranking here. And a little shortcut that will come in handy from time to time, which you can use in a lot of functions and formulas. Why not just highlight the data all at once here? Equal rank. We want to compare this entry here, comma, with all the others in column I. Simply hit Control Enter here, and we've got our ranking there. And here too, you'll see some repeats. This is the 4th highest, but this one too is also 4th highest, so there's no 5th entry in there. So similarly used, although with a much smaller group of data, the rank function certainly has its role to play in showing us rankings without necessarily forcing us to sort the data.